Hello, hello, hello. Happy Saturday, everyone. I've been thinking a lot about you. I don't know if you felt it, my compassion, my consideration, my concern, my adoration for the human species. I love you all. And I was working at my desk today and just had this really strong desire to give you a little bit of relief in your body with something so freaking easy that you can just step right into it anywhere you are if you can find some place to sit down. And one of the things I love to teach when I really, go into the body especially, is the things that we do most of the time, sitting, standing, and walking, right? Transitioning, standing to the floor. Those are some of my favorite things. Learning how to get out of bed in the morning, learning how to put your arms over your head so you can put your shirt on when you're 90 years old. I love to teach to your 90-year-old spine. Right. So I was just thinking about like how hard all of us are working. I've been talking to a lot of people this week and just in onboarding them into the conversation of how to accelerate, how to be great, and realizing how hard we all work. We put ourselves, boy, in such a place that's like, it's like we have to punish ourselves to prove that we deserve to be where we are. We have to overstress ourselves and overcomplicate things again and again in order to make it look like we're really moving forward, making effort. But sometimes it just feels like we're going around and around and around in circles. So I just was feeling that so strongly today and wanting to offer something because I have this lovely little experience when I'm working that I need to sort of ground myself every so often. And when I go into this place of like, okay, I really need to come and be present in my body again, I find this place that I lovingly call the GlamStrings in the back of my legs. And it's this sort of dead zone area in the body for anyone that sits any length of time or anyone that stands any length of time but locks your knees, right? When your knees lock out, what happens is this really sexy area at the bottom of the glute and the top of the hamstrings that I lovingly call the GlamStrings. That place can start to be a little bit more like, especially as we get older, saran wrap. And the connective tissue there gets really, really sticky around that sort of rim of the pelvic floor. Yes, I said it, pelvic floor, get used to it. But what I want you to experience today is something that is in that area, someone is really empowering in your body. And again, I just felt this really strong urge to offer something that would like lighten everyone's load, and this is really what came through. And so I don't know, you take it for what you will, but I encourage you to at least give it a try, right? So this area that tends to be the most disengaged muscle, right? The bottom of the glutes, top of the hamstrings, and we're seeing this in so many different bodies and so many different careers and lifestyles. It just can become a dead zone. I like to call it astrophy. And we need to wake it up. And one of the most important tenets of like really getting the connective tissue to engage uniformly is that we're sort of hugging the tone of muscle in from the periphery to the center core of the bone. And so we're hugging on all sides. And so when we can find ourselves, if we find ourselves a little bit scattered, a little bit unsteady, or a little bit kind of pulled up, unrooted, ungrounded, really unfocused, out of our heads, anxious. There's so many ways that it can express itself. But when we do, we've got to figure out a way to really ground in. And when we ground down, we can lighten our load a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to talk particularly about this area for glam to engage and tone the GlamStrings. And a lot of us think, and I'm going to actually post this article, there's this cool article going around in some circles of mine about the hamstrings, and we have to stop stretching the hamstrings. Stop stretching the hamstrings, right? Because we think we have to be so flexible, but we always need to really feel stability first, right? Like really diving in to the capacity to be supported in your own joint structure. And when you feel supported, then you can open. And it's not just opening arbitrarily, it's opening in all directions so that you can really explore your own dimensions. Obviously, this is coming from the bowspring philosophy and perspective and practice. If you're interested, I want to talk to you about the bowspring because it is life-changing, and with basic stuff I'm going to show you, blow your mind right now. So this place that tends to be a little bit more weak or comatose or atrophied, right, is the bottom of the glutes, the top of the hamstrings. And you'll notice, if you've known me for at all in the last 6 years, you have seen me rubbing and molding and massaging and carving out and really like using my tissues like clay and directing them. So you'll see me again and again, especially as I'm sitting and working for a while, constantly moving literally the sort of sacks of tissue. There's sacks around sacks, all these tissues around the bone, including the muscle, and I'm pushing the muscle towards the center of the bone, and I'm actually rotating before I get really anchored in. I'm rotating the top of my thighs in. Now, if you've never really considered the direction of your tissues, this is something that I absolutely love to geek out about, directionality, and that's what my ABCs program is all about, to really kick off 2019. But I'm talking about the directionality of empowerment to get my glutes and my hamstrings more toned and more strong into the bone, right? And I'm not going to do anything but sit right here in my chair. It's going to be amazing. You got to feel this, right? So I'm getting to this edge. I have this amazing piano bench. And what I'm feeling into, that I love about it, this is how I do a lot of my work, is that there's something underneath it that I can grab onto and pull against, which is really helpful. So any chair that you have that's not, sort of slouched on the inside or pushes you back, you want to be able to sit front. And what I'm doing is actually putting that area just in front of the GlamStrings, just in front of that area on the edge of the piano bench, right? Now, before, of course, I was molding my top thighs inward and my glutes way out. I want to pull them out from underneath me. And I want to try to get that GlamString area the same way. I'm pulling it back, and it's like I'm pulling it so it becomes taut, right? Like stretched into the bone like the head of a drum. I pull it back, I pull it back, I pull it back, and trust me, you cannot do this enough. If you live in today's culture, if you look down at your phone ever, we all need to get the back of the body nice and strong, and this is one of the coolest ways to make that happen without needing to do 1,000 squats, although those are good too when done in good alignment. So I'm moving my hamstrings back, right? I'm really getting the nice and long engagement, the strength by lengthening my hamstrings. This is all while sitting. I'm going to bring the middle of my hamstring muscle group, like the middle of my thigh bone, against the edge of my piano bench. And what I'm going to do is actually rock forward and try to anchor myself against the chair so that my muscle pushes up into the bone. This area that tends to be kind of slack and hammocking off the bone, I'm pushing it up against the bone. I promise you this is going to lighten your entire load of life. So what I'm doing is I pull against the piano bench. I'm actually actively pushing my thigh bones down, and then I'm just going to roll forward and try to pull myself forward so that my hamstrings move back, my glutes move back and up, power position, strong glutes right there to help support a healthy low back curve, necessary for longevity for your 90-year-old spine. P.S. Okay, so I'm just pulling against the piano bench, and I'm really loving the bottom of this so that I can pull against, and I'm rocking forward. And I'm really keeping strong pressure between my thigh bone and my hamstring against the piano bench so that as I rock forward, there's this strengthening that's happening because the muscles get more condensed, the tissues get more compact into the center, and then I'm directing them in the power position that I want that gives me so much freedom and support to lift my spine when I'm sitting a lot. And when I can lift my spine from the deep center, the load is lightened. Everything gets more free. Everything gets more open, more expansive, more fun, dare I say, right? So just think about this. To find the GlamStrings, right, the backs of your legs, this sort of center, well, just above the center of your back, the back of your leg, the bottom of your glute, top of your hamstring, you just give them a little love as we're massaging. I can't read that, Chris. I'll talk to you in a second. But as you pull that glute back and wide, really draw the muscles long across the bone. And as I get that super strong strength against the bone, the tissue's moving back, I'm going to then anchor into my chair. I'm going to pull up. And this is anytime I'm feeling anxious, anytime I'm feeling like so out of my head or not grounded or unplugged or I just have worked really too hard. I'm just going to find a grounding moment. Push my thigh bones against the chair. The bench I have is really helpful. And then I'm going to pull my hips forward, which is actually going to anchor my pubic bone down. And there's a lot that we can unfold there, but I just want to work on this today. Just give you something to feel. Sit against that. Move your butt back and up, and then let your spine be free. And it's so nice to just let your arms go up and not support them by the top, not overwork or hold them from your neck, but just feel how strong your legs are and your feet are strong, your thighs are really grounding down, and you're waking up these comatose parts of the body that tend to be a little bit atrophied by hugging them into the bone, by asking them to come back home, asking those tissues to move back into the center of the bone, and then direct those tissues long and around the pelvis to give that supporting musculature and structure, stability for the back of your legs as you forward tilt, right? And so again, it's super grounding, root into the thigh bones, and what I'm doing is pulling up and anchoring down. Now, I'm not doing that from this position. It's always about from where are you starting? Ooh, that does not feel good in my low back. So I'm pulling those tissues back. I'm pulling those tissues back. I'm doing it again and again. You really can't mold your clay enough because the way that our clay molds most of our day, right, when we're sitting, when we're driving, when we're in any sort of collapsed place, it molds in a way that it hangs off the bone. So to wake up these GlamStrings, you guys, to wake up these areas, we have to bring electricity, bring movement, bring fluidity. And I'm learning so much about you guys. I'm just so stoked, obviously, because I felt so strongly that I needed to kind of like, I don't know, there was something that I feel like collectively we just needed to be able to lighten our load a little bit. And I felt down. I felt that grounding that needed to happen. So we're waking up the connective tissue, learning about the conductivity, the energy that it supplies, and especially as we use it as an irrigation system, right? As we get the waters of our body to really pump and the hydraulic fluids to really move through, it's amazing to see how this connective tissue wakes up, right? And so just by massaging it in a different direction, by molding it in a spiral way, this thigh bone, or the tissues around here going in, and then the glutes are going up, right? And as I do that, and then anchor, I wake up these back of my legs, top of my hamstrings, kind of get to be like mashed potatoes, right? The saran wrap like connective tissue there gets really, really sticky. But to know we're not lost, all hope is not lost, right? Like we can wake up those areas. So I'm just going over it again and again because it feels so freaking good. And I can just give myself that strong grounded connection. And what's so cool is I'm relaxing the front of my hips. When have you felt the front of your hips relax? Ever? I just wonder. When the top of your thigh bones root, right, really go back home into the pelvis, in that the backs of your leg muscles can actively wake up. When you can put the thigh bone home, the front of your hips and your low back can relax. Front of the hips, the belly. And I'm not relaxed collapsing. I'm not relaxed in this passive C-curve, turn off the inner space way that actually can stress the nervous system and the spine and the other tissues in an imbalanced way. When I use the strength at the back of my legs, when I anchor in and drag those tissues back and up, Gandhi knows. He's like, yeah, some good stuff's happening here. You guys, this is so easy that you could just like never do it. It's so easy not to do it. Right? That's the thing. Sitting, standing, walking, we do it all the time so that we become numb to it. We become totally mindless about it. But yeah, I don't know. This is something I felt like I really wanted to share with you guys. And it's fun. GlamStrings, right? Like wake that stuff up. Make it glamorous. Go from astrophy to astrophy. Like wake up your power and know that when you do, when you root into yourself, so much freedom in your heart and your spine and your shoulders. So much new, broader horizons because you're just held. You're so supported. You're so engaged. I'm so excited that you guys are all joining live and to say hi and to just wake up the back of your legs. Right? It's something that I wanted as an offering this afternoon because I feel like, especially for the holidays, and we're getting into the solstice, and so it's like things are kind of getting into this more contracted position, darker and darker and darker, colder and colder and colder, maybe even a little bit more stressful, right? We feel a little bit more compact, or we feel like we're pulled in 1,000 different directions. So this quick exercise of learning how to ground yourself. When you ground yourself, let the hips relax, let the front of your belly relax. Like literally think, when was the last time this could soften? Not in, again, a way that you're collapsing, But man, when my hips in this power position are sprung low, even when I'm sitting, it's dynamic. I am getting a butt workout just by pulling these tissues along the bone. I don't need to stretch my hamstrings. Because what most often happens is I'm stretching the back of the knee or the sit bone attachment, which is not the muscle itself. We're trying to hug the tissues uniformly into the bone. It's a different way of looking. It's a different way of thinking. And without straightening my leg, I can actively engage my hamstrings to a longer and stronger, more powerful position. Why? Why do I need that? Well, because the bottom of your spine exists. The base of your central nervous system is located inside this area. And so many of us are sitting on our tailbones. And we're numbing out by moving, like the energy just stops and stunts and gets stagnant, and we close ourselves off to this place, and then we write really important emails to help save the world. How productive is this? I could go on forever, but I just really wanted to share this. Hope it's useful. Let me know. Give me some likes and hearts and all the comments and all the things and all the love, because I love you guys so much, and I just wanted to bring this out because it helps me so much. And just doing that little demo of C-curve, it just feels so wrong. Like, that's what's amazing about choosing to carve your tissues and mold the clay of your body in a different direction, is that luckily, because it's like memory foam, thank you for the love, thank you for the likes, I love you guys so much. But when you mold the clay, right, because it's like the memory foam of the body, oh my gosh, you get all this tone, all this engagement. I'm so glad this is helpful for you guys. It becomes so molded consistently over time. I've been doing it for a few years, but I can get you on your path. Because I continue to mold, right, the tissues actually hold themselves. They hold themselves, and I'm doing like this because it's like a trampoline when all the body muscles hold themselves. It's like suspension. It's this amazing dynamic push-pull play with itself. I love how I feel so sprung low, so expansive and contracted. And even especially, right, when we're going into the darker days of this solstice, right, when we're going into this more compact place, and I can kind of feel it in my belly. There's so much energy happening right now, but I can feel it in my solar plexus so much right now. We're all kind of compacting, and there's a little bit of like, let me hibernate, let me hunker down. And so what we want to feel is, how do we hunker down? How do we ground ourselves but not lose the space of sensitivity, not lose the space of support for ourselves, so we don't feel like we're heavy and stressed out, and bringing ourselves to this place of dis-ease by just overthinking, overanalyzing, and not having the support for the body to just hold itself up. You gotta wake up the areas that are asleep. And you have to be real about it. You have to be honest about it. I'm going deep now. But when we wake up these tissues, it's like, oh, wait, hold on. All of a sudden, I have a new back body support. So it's super easy, super basic. Sit, lengthen the back of the legs. And you really gotta mold and sit the bones into the tissues, pull the tissues into the bones. And you can use your chair, anchor against it so that you get that middle of the hamstring muscle really into the bone, and then just pull forward so that the glutes, the hamstrings, the GlamStrings stretch against the bone back and start to mount up. Oh, it feels so good. And I'm not doing any collapsing in my belly. I'm not dumping my ribs forward. I'm just anchoring down and tipping forward as I get the hamstring to tone and lengthen. We mount our glutes, booty on the rise, y'all, and it feels so empowering and youthful, right? When you get that lift, when you get that little directionality and momentum starts to build, you're light on your toes. You feel that trampoline-like effect as well. I want to teach you all about it. Let me know if you have questions. There's always some access point. If you feel like this is totally out of your zone, but you're somehow, some way curious, we can work together and find an access point. Wake up the backs of your legs. We need you to be on your toes, to move forward. I love you guys so much. Thanks for sticking with me. Have an awesome weekend. We'll talk soon. Namaste.